Okay, I got a fairly ordinary looking flower here, but I'm going to show you how you can shade this type of flower a little bit differently, and it's fairly easy to do so. So first of all, as I normally do, I got this smooth beveler that's rounded. I think those of you who have seen my demonstrations before know that this is just makes life a little easier when it comes to the regular beveling that I need to do. So let's see. I need to shade the middle part of the flower around the center. And I've definitely moved away from the single strike of the tool flower centers. So this is a craft tool F916, and it's got some very coarse lines in it, and file down the outside to make it a little bit narrower. Yeah, might have to move this camera back just a little bit. I don't want to be beating up the camera with my maul here. Okay, back to business here. So take care not to shade into those cut lines coming into each petal coming into the center. I'm just trying to shade just the middle part of each petal. Leaving just a little bit of a untooled, unshaded portion right near the line, rather than mash it all down around there. So once again, you can see what's happening here is I've got see this, each one of these lines denotes a shape that we need to respect when it comes to the shading. See that the curve right here respects the fact that this petal has kind of a character to it, a curve to it, a movement to it. Same way here. So and then this, of course, is the foremost petal. So we're with their center line about like so. Then this curvature respects this curve and this curve right here. So okay. Next, let's gotta come in with this is just I'm not even sure where I got this tool. Doesn't have probably a homemade one. Just a little smooth cedar. I've been doing that on these. What it does is gives me kind of an irregular looking flower center, which your normal flower centers tend to be, of course, very symmetrical, very clean, and I would say perhaps even a little bit sterile. So that gives us a little bit more of that organic feel that I like to see in my work. Plus the petal stop that is also a little bit of an undercut. You can see right there what that looks like. Okay, next I got this Bob Beard checkered beveler. Had a visit last weekend with Jessie, one of our subscribers, and she talked about being able to put together a tool list and on a budget, and I would say for stamping tools, you can probably get by with some fairly inexpensive tools. You've seen me use these inexpensive craft tools in quite a few applications here. The one thing I would not go short on, and that is a nice set of checkered bevelers. There's really, like a lot of these tools, there's a lot of kind of important geometry that goes on, and curves and so on and so forth that goes on with the business end of these checkered bevelers. So I would definitely invest in a set of 3 or so, 3 different sizes. And Barry King's, I've used his quite a bit. I've worn out a set of Don King, a couple of 2 or 3, well, one of them not worn out, but the ones I use most is definitely got smooth, so I've used them a lot, and they're a lot better than any of the Tandy or cheaper ones that you see out there. And beveling is the one tool, the one use that you use more than any other tool. I think it's important to have good quality checkered beveler so that it's designed to walk along and do what you need it to do in an efficient manner. So this is I guess you'd call it it's a pear shader, but I guess I think it's shared and they call it a thumbprint. So this has got some really coarse lines in it. I had Barry King build this for me some years ago, and he used the coarsest checkering file that he had. So, and I ground on it a little bit, and it's made out of tool steel, so grinding on this is not an easy task. So anyway, move this a little more to the center. So one end is a little bit smaller than the other, and I'm just using the end that seems to correspond mostly with the size of the lobe on the pedal. See how I switch that? And you can see what I'm doing here is just sort of framing up the outside of the pedal right there. And if you were only listening, you could tell what's going on. I'm coming in heavy on these lobed areas here that normally would shade those darker and deeper. See how that's leaving a little bit of a rim right there? It's also leaving a lot of texture in these pedals. So I'm tipping my tool just a little bit so that you get kind of that feathering effect. Yeah, that one's not going so well. Kind of having to work around my little camera right here. But also, I would normally flip this around so I could see what's going on. You can see I ran clear off the edge of that pedal right there. I prefer not to do that. So you can see how that frames up all of these other lines on your pedal. So it actually kind of makes those edges, those very edges of the flower, the pedal, to really pop. I'm going to come in and kind of redefine right there. That, see if I can help that a little bit. Yeah, I think I did help it some. So next I'll come in with my undercut beveler, another tool that I made myself. All of my undercut bevelers are what I've made myself. I've got on the whiteboard something we're going to show you one of these days. I need to work into the schedule is a tool modification and how I make these different tools and how how important it is, especially for this tool, this undercut beveler, to be a single strike of the tool and to be effective so that it lifts, goes in and lifts in all in one kind of operation. So anyway, there's the flour. I might come in and it's my old smoothie. I kind of like this very simple swivel cut decoration. Of course, I like to cut towards myself most of the time, but on something like this, to cut away from myself isn't too difficult. So it keeps you from having to spin your leather a lot. So that's the way I'm going to do this saddle, these flowers on this saddle. So as somewhat of a rendition, I suppose, of the wild rose that we have growing out in the Intermountain West. It's a 5-petal flower. Got some serrations and so on, irregularity on the leaves, and it's got that seeded center just like that. So something of a wild rose for you today.